أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا أما بعد. Today we're going to take class 2 of the book explaining the Aqeedah of Imam At Tahawiya, Aqeedah At Tahawiya, what it is known by. And as we started to speak on, last class we started to speak on the Islamic oneness of the attributes or the lordship, if you want to say the lordship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then we're going to go into the different divisions of a tawheed, the different divisions of a tawheed. And we said tawheed was what? It is to single out Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with His names, attributes, His lordships, and worship. So the Shaykh starts saying, أقسام التوحيد وفي هذا المقام يحسن ذكر الأقسام التوحيد. He said this is the best time to mention the divisions or the parts of Tawheed. فأهل السنة والجماعة يقسمون التوحيد ثلاثة أقسام. And he said that the people of the Sunnah and the congregation or the unified body, they divided a Tawheed, Islamic monotheism, with 3 parts. ومنهم من يجعل التوحيد قسمين وهما طريقتان متفقتان لا منافى بينهما. طيب. He says, so there are parts of Ahl Sunnah that divided a Tawheed into 3 parts, and parts of Ahl Sunnah which divided Tawheed into only 2 parts. The earlier generations of the Muslims had divided a Tawheed into 2 parts. And the latter of the Ummah divided a Tawheed into 3 parts. And he said there's no contradiction between them. There's no contradiction between them. فمنهم من يقول إن التوحيد الثلاثة توحيد الربوبية وتوحيد العبادة وتوحيد الأسماء والصفات. And from them are those who said a tawheed is al-rububiyyah, single out Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His lordship, al-ibadah or al-uluhiyyah, singling out Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with our worship, and a tawheed, singling out Allah with regards to His names and His attributes. فأما توحيد الربوبية فمعناه. And then as for Tawheed al-Rububiyyah, we're going to go into depth with regards to it a little bit. He says, التوحيد الله في شؤون الربوبية, it is singling out Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with regards to lordship. كالخلق ورزق وتدبير وإحياء وإماتة. He says, like the creating, we single out the creation that is only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We sub-create, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala creates from raw substance. And He makes that into existence. See the difference? The difference is we can procreate or we can sub-create, but we cannot create from nothing. Whereas Allah creates from nothing and He brings into existence. He is the one who provides provision. He provides provision. And He is the one who is the administrator of all affairs in the world. All affairs go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when they say that the Big Bang theory, or within the Big Bang theory, the Big Bang is the reason why the universe came into existence, we say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was the reason of the Big Bang. See how that theory and Islamic belief comes together? They say they disregard and they disbelieve in lordship because science proves the Big Bang came and it brought the universe into existence. And we say the Big Bang was by the permission and the command of Allah. Right. Okay. And al-ihya, in the causing of life, no one causes life except Allah, and no one causes or allows death except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah the Most High. ولهذا يعبر عنه بالتوحيد الرب. And this is why it is explained or it is expressed that it is the singling out of lordship for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. بأفعاله, with his actions. With his actions. وذلك بالإقرار بأنه لا شريك له في أفعاله. And this is with the determination or the understanding that there is nothing, there's no one, nothing that shares partnership. There's nothing that shares partnership with the actions of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nothing shares partnership with the actions of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. طيب. التوحيد الألوهية, and the singling out Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with regards to him being the deity worthy of worship. He is the one we worship. Right? Singling out Allah with our ibadah, our worship. إفراد الله بعبادة. That you single out Allah with your worship. وهو إقرار بأنه لا معبود بحق سواء. And it is the determination or the belief that there is no deity worthy of worship alongside of Allah. See, there's no deity worthy of worship alongside of Allah. So we're not going to say that there are not other deities, because anything you worship will be considered a deity. But does that deity have the qualities that were mentioned in the first aspect of Tawheed, of Rububiyyah? Can that deity that they worship the water. Let's say water is everything. We want to worship the water. Can the water give us life? Can the water cause death? Can the water prohibit provisions? Can the water allow or heal? No, it can't. All of those attributes and all of those qualities goes back to the one who created the heavens and the earth and all that is in between. So it says, فهو الإله الحق الذي لا يستحق العبادة سواء. So he is the deity that is worthy of worship, and nothing else that is considered a deity is worthy of the worship. وتحقيق ذلك, and to establish that بالفعل, with the actions. So it's one thing to say I believe in Allah, right? It's one thing to say I believe that He's the Creator, but how do you affirm that? You affirm that in your actions. You affirm that belief that you have with Allah in your actions. وهو تخصيصه تعالى بالعبادة, and this is singling out a special, making specific your worship to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the third part is that Tawheed al-Asma'i wa Sifat. It is singling out Allah in His names and His attributes. وهو إقرار بتفرده بما له من الأسماء والصفات. And it is to determine or to single out Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with His names and His attributes. وأنه لا شبيه له في ذاته ولا في صفاته ولا في أفعاله. And there's nothing that was ever in existence that shares the essence of Allah, nor His attributes, nor His actions. Nothing that you can ever think about can ever share with Allah His attributes, His essence, and His actions. So when they say that the devil, right? They say the devil became angry and he's going to come back and he's going to challenge and he's going to fight Allah. We say, no, this is not possible. This is not possible. And we have our own Islamic theology and our own Islamic belief with regards to Iblis and Shaitan and how he became in the job that he's going to do, what he's trying to do, what he's trying to establish. But we can never say that the devil is at the same level or capacity to challenge the one who created him. So this is what, with regards to that, what we mentioned about the scholars of the Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah that said that Tawheed was broken into 3 categories. Now, as far as the scholars of Ahl Sunnah, not the scholars of Ahl Bid'ah, innovated scholars, or the scholars who have deviated, the scholars of Ahl Sunnah, who had mentioned that a Tawheed is of two categories. We're going to cover a little bit of that now. أما من يجعل التوحيد قسمين. As for those who make Tawheed two parts. والعبارات تختلف لكن مؤدي واحد. He says the actual titling of those two parts may differ. It may differ, but the objective is one. فيقول التوحيد في المعرفة والإثبات. And some of them said that Tawheed, it is in knowledge and establishment, or knowledge and in practice. والعبارات الأخرى, and other terminologies, they said that Tawheed في علم والقول, that it is Tawheed in ilm. What is ilm? Knowledge. والقول, what is qawl? Speech, right? So it is Tawheed in knowledge, what you know, your theology, what you qawl, meaning what? It's an action that comes from the movement of your tongue, also establishment of actions, practice. And another way it was explained, or that was mentioned, or terminology was given, at Tawheed al-ilmi wal-khabri, and the Tawheed, that which is knowledge-based, and the Tawheed, this goes back into Arabic language. I'm trying to see if I can explain it to you grammatically. And the ilm that is kind of like insha'i or khabri, or that which is taught or told, and that which is taught. That which is taught, and that which is, maybe you could say, learned by means of questioning. هذه كلها عبارات عن الشيء الواحد. All of this establishes back to what? The three categories, or the two categories, goes back to the Tawheed al-i'tiqadi, علمي, معرفي, وهذا قسم يشمل التوحيد الربوبية. Oh, sorry. It says التوحيد al-i'tiqadi, Tawheed of belief, علمي, knowledge, معرفي, understanding or comprehension. This goes back to the Tawheed of Rububiyyah wa Tawheed Asma'i wa Sifat. This establishes that which is in the understanding of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the Lord, is the creator, is the sustainer, is the provider, and his names and attributes will also go back to the Tawheed of Rububiyyah, of his name, of having lordship. فإن درج قسمان من الثلاثة في هذا القسم. Okay, so he says in this qism of al-ilmi, you find a Tawheed al-Asma'i wa Sifat, a Tawheed al-Rububiyyah together, knowledge based. As far as the Tawheed, which is, we said it was ibadah, or Tawheed al-Uluhiyyah, then this is with regards to the practicing that Tawheed that you know. Now that you know the Creator is one. Now that you know the Creator, the Creator is the one who gave you life, sustenance, provision, health, right? And death is going to come. Now that you know that, how do you establish it? How do you affirm it? In your actions. You affirm it in your actions. By praising, by worshiping, by sacrifice. Okay. Hi. Skip a little of this. Right. وهذا, and this is what's important. وهذا التقسيم مستمد من الاستقرار النصوص. And dividing Tawheed into these three or two parts, this came from the scholars of Ahl Sunnah, right? This did not come from Muhammad Abu Essa. It came from the scholars of Ahl Sunnah. So it's saying that this division of Tawheed into these parts, whether it be three or whether it be two, is something that was done after the scholars analyzed and read the authentic text. It comes from the authentic text. But even with that, we find بعد أهل البدعة, some people of the innovation, يشنع على أهل السنة ويقول, that they would try to slander أهل السنة, the people of the Sunnah, and they would say, يقول إن هذا تقسيم مبتدع, that this dividing Tawheed into these three parts, or dividing Tawheed into these two parts, is an innovation. This is how they try to slander the people of the Sunnah, looking for any means possible to attack the people of the Sunnah. وهذا تشنيع باطل, and this slander is incorrect, is not void. نعم عبارات تقسيمات هي اصطلاح جديدة. So the Shaykh goes on to mention that the actual terminologies that is used by saying al-rububiyyah, al-uluhiyyah, al-asma'i wa sifat, al-ma'rifi, al-ilmi, al-tatbiqi, all of these different terminologies, he's saying, yes, these terminologies are new. You cannot find them in the original text of the Quran nor the Sunnah. You can't find them in the original text of the Quran and the Sunnah, but it's similar to the scholars of fiqh, the way they divide the salah. Excuse me. The way they divide the salah. When they divide the salah into what? That which is arkan, pillars, that which is wajibat, of obligatory actions in the prayer, and that which is sunnah, prophetic traditions with regards to the prayer, right? All of this was done after analyzing the salah and in judging every action of the salah. So a person who makes the mistake of, for instance, a person who makes the mistake of not reciting Surah Al-Fatiha, is this equal to a person not moving his finger or not pointing his finger in a tashahhud? No, there's a difference. So, while you understand that there's a difference in the salah, you must understand that the rule of the salah becomes different. You do everything correct, you get 100% reward, inshallah. You do start doing some things incorrect, you lose off on those rewards and possibly not have a prayer at all. So basically the Shaykh is going to mention that the taqsimat, the division or the categorizing of those names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's oneness, is something that was done after analyzing the text. And it's very important with regards to how we analyze, when we analyze and how we analyze, it's everyone's speech. Shaykh, Alim, Imam, Talib al-Ilm, father, son, nephew, brother. Anyone who speaks about the religion of Allah, he has to come from the source. What is the source? The book and the Sunnah. The book of Allah and the Sunnah. If he's not coming from the source, then he has already deviated. I can't bring my emotions into explaining the book of Allah. I can't bring my emotions and my philosophy in understanding the text of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is how the deviant and the extremists went astray. Or this is how people have become deviant or extremists by misunderstanding the text. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says, فَإِن تَنَعْزَعْتُمْ فِي شَيْءٍ فَرُدُّوهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ. He says, and if you have any issues with regards to understanding the book of Allah, with regards to anything, any controversy, then return it back to Allah and His Messenger. Meaning what? The Quran and the Sunnah. The Quran being the speech of Allah, and the Sunnah being the traditions of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which helps us understand the book of Allah, the Quran. ودلت النصوص على وجوب الاعتقاد أنه إله الحق الذي لا يستحق العبادة سواء كما قال تعالى في خطابه لموسى إني أنا الله لا إله إلا أنا فاعبدني. طيب. And he says, the Shaykh goes on to mention, he says, and it is evidence from the text upon the obligation of the belief in the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that there is no one who is deserving of your worship with aside partners with Allah. And this is established in the speech of Allah when he said to Musa, verily I am Allah, the Lord, so worship me alone. Worship me alone. وَمَا مِنْ إِلَهٍ إِلَّا اللَّهُ وَاحِدٌ. And there is no deity except Allah, and He is one. He is one. Right. So the Shaykh goes on to mention, are there any benefits of studying, learning At-Tawheed? Are there any benefits of understanding the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, studying, learning Aqeedah, the likes? He says, نعم. بهذا عرفنا أن الإقرار بالتوحيد الربوبية وحده لا يكفي، فإن المشركين كانوا مقرين بهذا التوحيد. قال تعالى ولئن سألتهم من خلق السماوات والأرض ليقولن الله. And he goes on to mention, he says, yes, because it is known, it is established that the people of the past, if you want to say, it is established that the people of the past understood that the Creator was one. They understood that the Lord was one. But yet it didn't help them. It wasn't sufficient. It didn't help them. It wasn't sufficient. Because the mushrikeen, the pagans during the time of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, used to worship Allah. They used to understand that the deity, the ultimate deity, the Alpha Omega, if you want to say, was Allah. But with that, Allah says, He establishes that when you ask them who created the heavens and the earth, they will say Allah. They will say Allah. Now when we analyze the actions of the mushrikeen or the pagans at the time of the Prophet Muhammad, they didn't just worship Allah, but they had another 300 and something odd deities along with them. And this is why today, when we're studying Aqeedah, when we're studying the Islam altogether, we must make sure that our Islamic belief is based on text. We must make sure our Islamic belief are based on text. So we constantly check everything, and we become as studious as possible to make sure that we're not following the footsteps of the people who had came before. وبهذا نكتفي بإذن الله تعالى. We're going to end here. I like to keep the classes short. If there are any questions, if you're online and you have any questions, you can follow my Facebook page, and you can forward your questions to Imam Chaplain Muhammad Abu Essa, my messenger, and I will try my best to answer those questions that are relevant to the topic in the next class, inshallah. Likewise, like, share, and add your beautiful comments, inshallah. وفقنا الله وإياكم ونسأل الله لنا ولكم السداد والثبات في الحياة الدنيا والآخرة. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.